I guess we'll just open it up for questions for Coach Bobo. David's got the first one.
How you doing, Mike? Thanks for doing this. After the decision yesterday, how did Ryan take it? Did he have to take a day off of practice today or anything like that?
No, he didn't. He didn't take a day off of practice, and I wouldn't expect him to take a day off of practice. Obviously, everybody in that room wants to be the starter, and there's competition. But I think we fostered good relationships in that room, and everybody knows that the ultimate goal is for South Carolina to win. We talked about some things that he has done to improve and how he's improved as a football player and what he's got to keep doing to be a consistent football player. And I like where he's at. He had 2 really good practices, and I've been pleased with his attitude.
Joe Gorcha.
Hi, Coach. And along with that quarterback competition, I'm curious from the standpoint of if it was as close as advertised throughout camp, would it be a situation where Ryan might even see some snaps in week 1? And just how do you manage maybe his disappointment with the competition being so close, and then you guys ultimately decide to move forward with Hill for at least week 1?
I mean, you're just honest and truthful with what you decided and why you decided it. I mean, that's life. Things happen that aren't always what we like. It's how you're going to respond to that. And I feel like he's responded the right way. And the reason, I told the guys a couple of days ago, I've never really, rep, this many quarterbacks this close to the starting of the season, but the situation we're in this season with the pandemic, we felt like we needed to continue to get more guys reps with the ones, and we did that all the way until yesterday.
Let's go outside the state to Gentry Estes out in Tennessee.
Mike, how are you doing?
So you work in Tennessee now, huh?
I'm in Tennessee now. So I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you're used to going against friends on the other staffs, plenty in your career, but how odd is it for you, your first game back in the SEC, you're going against a team with Jeremy and Will on the staff? We played against Jeremy when I was at Colorado State, when he was at Alabama, and then the year there at the University of Georgia that Jeremy and I crossed paths, went against each other, every day. There's obviously familiarity. Lived in the same neighborhood. Him, Coach Pruitt, and Coach Friend. We all lived in the same neighborhood. All families are close. Went summer vacation this summer with Coach Friend and his family. So that's part of the business. You develop relationships, but I can promise you, both of us on both sides, all of us on both sides, want to go out and put our best foot forward. The wives, I think Coach Friend's wife and my wife, they're wishing there wasn't a pandemic so they can get together and, have a nice little weekend, but we got a football game to play. Do you draw from, seeing Jeremy in practice for that 1 year? I mean, is there much you can take from that?
No, most definitely you do. There's going to be things that they look at that we did during that time together, and what we obviously did at Colorado State. It's going to be things that, I'm going to look at that Jeremy did at the University of Georgia, that he did at Alabama. Now he's doing it Tennessee. But at the same time, you got to be careful that you don't chase too many ghosts. You can't let, those ghosts sometimes dictate what you want to do offensively. You want to try to dictate to the defense what you want to do. And there's going to be some things that he's going to do that we're going to have to make some adjustments and talk through on the sideline, and hopefully vice versa.
Pete Acabelli.
Mike, what did
Pete, you're having audio
to win this job, and how is he mixed with his team?
Pete, we're going to have to go to someone else. You're buffering, I think, on us a little bit. So let's go to David Conger.
I'm trying to talk over this. Mike, just looking right now, who are your top 6 wide receivers, and is there any clarification on Jalen?
There is no clarification on Jalen at this point. The top 6 guys, in today's practice were Xavier, Shy, Jalen.
Can you hear me now?
Might need to mute him. Sure to control it.
Now.
Okay. Xavier, Shy, Jalen, Rico, Powers, to carry on. Then there's a battle there for the 6th guy, Jakari Caldwell, Josh Van, Luke Doty has been getting a lot of work, but those are, well, that's 8 guys that I named right there, but those are the guys that, have been repping a lot at receiver with the 1s and the 2s.
Let's go to Ben.
Hey, Mike, what did you learn about Colin in 2018 where he obviously has, first he has the 2 ACL tears and then he loses out on that job to Austin. And what did you learn about him watching him go through the first half of that season and then kind of taking over the job in the second half?
Well, the thing about him after his second ACL tear, which happened right before spring practice, he was able to get back and he was cleared 4.5 months later. Just didn't feel like he was ready. He was a little apprehensive on his knee at practice, and we were trying to rebuild our offensive line a little bit. And then, I just saw that it was a good teammate, continued to work, continued to bide his time and support KJ Carter Samuels during that time. And it's his time to play. He was ready to play, and that's a great opportunity for a young man. When he feels like he's ready to play, it feels like he should be the starter. Still a good chance to be a good teammate and develop leadership among your teammates. And I thought he did that. After this third ACL, there's really been no apprehension at all. Seems like he's back to when we first signed him out of high school. Not worried about it. He's playing, stepping into his throws, people all around him. He's not really concerned about it at all. I think he's at a point like, I get hurt, I get hurt. He's not really worried about, if that happens.
All right, Pete's question he typed in says, wanted to ask what Colin did well to win the job and how has he meshed with teammates since coming over?
Yeah, I think, the second part of that question, meshing with teammates has probably been the hardest. He's a mid-year guy, but, during the mid-year when we were practicing and having fourth quarter workouts, he was in the training room rehabbing. And then we come back after spring break and the pandemic, it was kind of hard for him to mesh with his teammates. I think he's done a good job of that, in the summer. And as far as, winning the job, I would just say he's been the most consistent on a daily basis. I think both had, good days, but over the long haul, he had more consistent days and was more consistent. And that's something that he's got to continue to do for us to play well.
John Whittle.
Couple of things for you on the offensive line. Last night on the call-in show, you talked about the left tackle position or the tackle position. But didn't mention Jasden. Does he have an issue that'll keep him out the first game or out of practice right now?
No, that was just a miss by me, not mentioning his name. But the tackles that are repping are Dylan Wanham, Jalen Nichols, Jasden, Jacob Moore, and then Lee from Virginia. So all of those guys have been repping with the 1s and 2s, and I think it's a good problem to have. We feel really good about Dylan Wanham. And one of the tackles, and the other guys, I think it's going to be, it's how we feel going into this week after today's practice. When we look at the film, who we're going to put out there as starter. We've been rotating those guys every day, and the good thing is multiple guys are playing, so multiple guys are getting confidence. And I played, coach before where you've had a tackle rotation where it was a little bit even, and I think that'll be good for team morale if those guys are kind of even and see how they play throughout the game.
Do you look for anything in particular in these next practice or two to kind of differentiate one from another?
Yeah, I would think assignments are huge right now. Now that we've finished our second practice working on Tennessee, we've narrowed down what we're doing game plan wise, and we're going to start repping those plays over and over again. And we're looking for guys that are going to be able to execute their assignments and not have missed assignments.
Eric Boynton.
Yeah, Coach. How is the running back situation kind of shaken out? And do you want to kind of go into the game, maybe wanting to give one guy the bulk of the carries? Or are you pretty much going to go running back by committee and maybe see who's running the ball best on Saturday?
I would not say we've got, one running back that's, we're going to the game and this guy's going to get the bulk of the carries. I think it's going to be a field for by the coaching staff of who's, toting the ball well during the game and, kind of get a feel throughout the game. So I guess that's running back by committee.
Ben?
Mike, through the years, how have you kind of developed the repertoire of screens in your offense, and how big a role do those kind of play in what you guys want to do?
When went to Colorado State, you didn't have some of the personnel that you had at the University of Georgia, and sometimes a lot of things, depend on what you do based on your personnel. And when I got there, we didn't have the same kind of personnel. So some of our better personnel were receivers, and basically had to do some things, find different ways to get them the ball through the screen game. You can always turn around and hand it to a running back if the running back is your top skill. But at Colorado State, some of those were receivers, and really just expanded on the receiver screen game while we were out there.
David?
Mike, you mentioned before how this was kind of a weird installation with COVID in the spring being short and all that kind of stuff. Did you have to shorten your playbook at all? Were there some things that you just couldn't get to over this preseason camp?
Yeah, there were a number of things that we didn't get to in the camp. Some of it due to, the shortened, spring practice and summer. But we had, a lot of walkthroughs, and we were able to get the most of it in. Some of it might have been held just because didn't feel like we were quite ready as a team, as a staff. It's always, difficult, when it's your first year coaching and a new staff. There's some things you don't want to do too fast, and you got to let those things develop within your team and the staff. It's different if you've worked together with the same or the majority of the nucleus for a while. Then some things are a little bit easier to teach. But we're a new staff with a new team, and the biggest goal for us is to go into this game making sure whatever we call our guys have confidence in, and that's the goal now. You can always add things as things go on. As the season goes on, you feel like they give you a chance to win. And I feel like we've got smart coaches to be able to make that happen. And it'll come off of what we've done in the past.
Ben?
How much of running a quarterback room is, I guess, almost expectation management in getting guys to be battling for that starting job, but also understanding that, this isn't wide receiver, this isn't tight end. One guy in the end is going to take most of those reps if things are going well.
Well, I just think you've got to be honest and truthful up front. You got to set the expectation of how things are going to go in the room, and what your expectations of behavior, your expectations of competition, and how we treat each other. And then quarterback cannot, quarterback, you got to have a borderline cockiness about you. You got to have belief in yourself, but at the same time, it can't be about you. It's got to be an unselfish position. It's got to be about the team. If the quarterback is truly the leader of the team, then that's his nature, unselfish and want to do best for the team. So, we talk a lot about leadership and being a good teammate and being a good leader. But at the same time, they all know I expect competition, and you get that happens through practice.
Hale?
Coach, camps go on. What's Jakari done that's allowed him to get himself into the mix for that sixth spot?
Out, Hale. You gonna try again, or?
Coach, can you hear me now?
I can hear
it's
you.
Better now.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. I hear you.
What's Jakari done that's allowed himself to get into the mix for that sixth spot?
What did he say? Who's sixth spot? Caldwell? I would think, just continue to improve. He's asked about Jakari Caldwell getting to the sixth spot at receiver. I think just continued improvement and know that we can trust him in crucial situations to do the right thing and catch the football. Obviously, getting to that sixth spot, could be a little bit easier if Jalen Brooks is not available in this game.
David?
Mike, there's been other teams, other schools who have had to postpone their games because one position group might have had an outbreak of COVID. I know you guys are kind of separating the quarterbacks. How are you doing it with the other positions on the team, the line, the running backs, the receivers? How do you guys distance and make sure that doesn't happen here?
Well, Coach Muschamp and our director of football operations, George Wynn, and our trainer, Clint, they have a great plan of we're socially distanced in all the meeting rooms, how we feed the guys, where they, in 2 different locker rooms. I think we got guys in 3 different locker rooms. Something Coach talks about with the team on a daily basis, what constitutes contact tracing, just informing them with information of, being a mature, handling things the right way. One wrong decision of going somewhere where you shouldn't go and putting yourself at risk of getting exposed can not only affect you, but affect teammates. And I think our teams handle that the right way. And I got to credit Coach for constantly talking about that with the guys.
Eric Boyden?
Yeah, Coach, I know this is probably a better question for Coach Muschamp, but have any guys on your side of the ball come to you and expressed any kind of a desire to undertake any kind of protest during the national anthem Saturday? I know you guys generally stay in the locker room before the game.
They haven't to me, but I'm sure that would be something that they would ask Coach Muschamp and not me, to be honest.
Ben?
You mentioned a couple of times about how Colin's consistency kind of helped him carry the day. And I wanted to ask, in terms of your guys' offense overall, do you have any numerical, I guess, almost numerical measures for, is this offense consistently producing, play in, play out the way we want?
I mean, you're going to look at your yards per play. Your overall number. You get yards per play. Your average how many yards you're going to get on first down. What's your third down percent? Some of the statistics that are going to help keep drives moving. Explosive plays are important. If you're in there, we have an explosive plays on offense. And I've always, we always want to, we want to complete balls. You won't go broke taking a profit. And completions lead to first downs, and first downs lead to touchdowns. But at the same time, it's hard for anybody to have, 8, 10, 12 play drives and execute all the way down the field. So we've got to have explosives within that offense, and those come off of, what we're doing offensively and being able to see them and being able to hit them and take advantage of them when they arrive during the play.
David?
Mike, now that, it's game week and then there's game, coming up next Saturday, just how are you feeling, in the past year with the whirlwind that's going around, coming to a new place, moving your family, your health, all that kind of stuff? How are you feeling with a few days to go?
I feel great. My health's great. We have the early morning practice here, so I get my tail in bed at night, and only saw about a quarter of that game last night, if I even made a quarter of the game, and get here, really, really early in the morning, get planned for the day, and really like this early morning practice, the routine that we got. I feel like our guys have, they're up and they're ready to go. And we're, it's technically we're in game week. It's still not the week of the game, but it seems like it's been a long time coming. Seems like we've been practicing forever. Obviously we haven't been practicing with a ball forever, but when we started walkthroughs back in July, I think these guys are ready to play, and I'm ready to see what we got. I'm ready to go out there and see what's going to happen throughout the game. How we're going to respond when things aren't going well. How we're going to respond when things are going good. And just see, what's the makeup of our team. I got a good idea, but you never know till you go out there and they're playing, at Williams-Brice, under the lights, how they're going to react.
Anything else for Coach? No.
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.
All right, Steve.